Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. For those of you who don't know, my name is Faith and thank you so much for watching. Before I get into the video, I would like to apologize. My mom pointed this out when I'm filming. I'm very clearly not looking into the camera. That's because I'm filming on my phone. So I'm usually looking like here, like at my phone screen. And I realized that that might be annoying for some people. So I'm going to try and do my best to look at the camera instead of this way. I apologize if I don't. If I just keep looking back and forth, I'm sorry if that gets annoying, but I'll do my best. Okay, so now let's get into the video. So if you couldn't tell by the title, this video is going to contain spoilers. There's actually a couple books first that I want to talk about without giving spoilers, and I'm gonna just get into those. So Sunrise on the Reaping, guys, it just came out Tuesday, so that's why I'm not gonna spoil anything. Saying someone dies and that literally doesn't spoil anything because it's the Hunger Games. We know people die. I'm just not gonna tell you whose death. If you haven't read it yet, first of all, read it. If you haven't read it, prepare to be absolutely devastated. I cried like a dozen times. Oh my god, gut wrenching. It is devastating. If I say anything else, I'm gonna end up spoiling, so I'm gonna move right on from Sunrise on the Reaping right into Monsters of Men by Patrick Ness. It is the third and final book in the Chaos Walking series. If you watched the movie, disregard that completely and read the books. I recommend these books so highly. They are so good. The movie was terrible. The movie was good by itself. The movie, when compared to the books, it was one of the worst film adaptations I've ever watched. Completely disregard that. The reason I'm not spoiling it is because these are not popular books to my knowledge. I don't see anybody talking about them literally ever, so I don't want to spoil it. So I'm just gonna say read them because it is a major character death. So that's why I'm not gonna say anything. So I'm just gonna say read them. Okay, so now from here on out, every book I talk about will contain spoilers. I'm gonna say who died. First, I'm actually gonna do a couple honorable mentions that weren't gut-wrenching, but still very upsetting / unexpected. First is in the Off-Campus series by Elle Kennedy, Beau. It wasn't gut-wrenching to me simply because while he was a fun character, we don't really get to know him that deeply. It mainly just hit because I'm in college right now. I was in college when I first read the series, and I feel like that's not something that you see in romance books a lot. Like someone in the friend group at that age dying, it makes you think like that really can't happen to anybody at any time. It doesn't wait for when you're old. You know, that was just devastating. Next honorable mention is in A Court of Wings and Ruin, Rhysand. The only reason this is an honorable mention is because he did come back to life. However, before we knew he came back to life, oh my god. Oh my god. The thing is, when I was reading that, I was reading it and then I had to stop to go wipe my nose and like clear my tears, and I had to take like a 5-minute break while he was dead, mind you. And then I come back and I continue reading. If I would have read for like 10 more seconds, I would have read him coming back alive. So I sat with like for 5 minutes that he had died. He's fine. But that's the only reason it wasn't devastating, because he's currently still alive in that universe. The last honorable mention before we get into absolutely devastating ones, and some of you guys might hate me for this one for only making this an honorable mention. The Assassin's Blade, Sam. It was very sad. The reason it's only an honorable mention is because I got it spoiled for me that he died. I knew that he died. I just didn't know when. So when I picked the order to read them in, and I chose to read Assassin's Blade 3rd, which I don't recommend doing, and I'll get into that some other time, just not in this video. I read Assassin's Blade 3rd, and keep in mind, like I said, I knew Sam died. I just didn't know when. So when I start Throne of Glass, and in the first chapter, it tells me Sam's dead, I'm like, oh, so he's literally only in one book. So when I got to Assassin's Blade and his character was presented, I was like, I'm not getting attached to this. So I didn't. It made me very sad. I did cry. If I didn't know that he died and I read Assassin's Blade first, I would have been completely destroyed. I can probably guarantee that. That's just not how it happened. I knew he died. I knew it was very early on in the series, literally in the prequel book. He's only an honorable mention for me. Okay, now let's get into the actual most devastating, gut-wrenching deaths for me. And also, I will say these are not in any order, so keep that in mind. And there are only 6. I'm gonna say first, but it's not actually. That doesn't mean it's the most devastating. So first, Fourth Wing, Liam. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Rebecca, I was so mad. I cried so much when he died. I genuinely did not expect that at all. I loved Liam so much. He's just a sweetheart. He was literally such a sweetheart. And I saw in an interview, Rebecca Yarros was like, that's why I had to kill him. He had nothing left. He had no character arc. Like, he was perfect. And I'm like, girl, You could have let him live. And then what made it worse was the second book, how Sloane was there, his sister, and they couldn't reunite. And when Violet was getting tortured and he came back, are you kidding me? That destroyed me. It's so sad. I've read Fourth Ring twice now, bawled like a baby both times. It is so sad. Next, this one's an OG, guys. In Mockingjay, when Finnick died, I was devastated. This is a series where I did watch the movie before I read the book, and I actually did know that Finnick died because there were these two girls in my class who were obsessed with Finnick, and when they read Mockingjay, I say I was devastated. They were devastated. They could not contain themselves. They were telling everybody. I mentioned this in my first video. My entire class read that whole series before I did because I was such a bad reader. I had given up on the series at that point. I loved the movies. I just could not read them. I was a terrible reader, guys. Going into the movie, I did know he was going to die. That did not stop it from being heart-wrenching, devastating. Oh my god, to this day, I'm pretty sure I've cried every single time I've watched that movie. It's so sad. It's so sad. The fact that Annie was pregnant and that he had a kid. Oh my god. It's so sad. It's so sad. And then reading the book, I was like, I'll be fine because I know he dies. I was not fine. I was not okay. Okay, next, this is another OG, Harry Potter. Fred? Like, it should have been Percy. It should have been Percy, and I will stand by that. I will stand by that. This is another one that was spoiled for me. My friend's mom was driving us home from school one day, and I hadn't watched the movie yet. She had, and she was like, yeah, Fred dies. Girl, why would you say that? Why would you say that? Why would you say that? In my head, I tried to be like, no, he didn't. Like, you're faking. She was not. He did die. He did die. While it was so upsetting in the movie, the book, he died with a smile on his face. No, I could not handle that. When I read Deathly Hallows, I was crying for like hours. The entire final battle scene. Oh my god. No, I could not. Oh my god. It just devastating. Now another one from the Harry Potter universe, Sirius Black. When I watched the movie, Sirius was my favorite character, and then I remember reading the books, and I got to the 5th book, and I was reading it at school, and I got to the part of his death, and I stopped reading it because I was like, I'm going to cry, so I need to read this when I'm in private. I got home, went to my room, read that, and just cried and cried and cried. I actually don't remember the timeline of when I watched The Hunger Games and Harry Potter, but those characters were like my first experience with on-screen death, kind of, except for like Bambi and The Lion King. Those were my first experiences with live action death, really. So I think that is also a part of why I find it so upsetting. Even to this day, though, it was so sad. It was so devastating. Last but not least, Kingdom of Ash. When the 13 died, guys, I did not expect that. When they were like, live Manon. OMG. I I had to switch to audiobook to play it on audiobook because I literally could not see through my tears. It was so sad. It was so sad. And unpopular opinion, and even sadder death to me, was Gavriel. Also unpopular opinion, I liked Adian and I loved Gavriel. Gavriel was one of my favorite characters in that series. I don't know why, I just had this gut feeling that Gavriel would die. And when he did, actually, wait, because his death also kind of pissed me off. He saves Aiden, like he brings Aiden in the gate, and then he just steps out of the gate and then closes the gate behind him, and then he has a second to prepare to fight and die. He like literally self-sacrificed himself. He had no chance. A full army against him. I don't get why he stepped out of the gate. Could they not have closed the gate with him inside? Like, what? I was so confused. Am I wrong? Like, he could have avoided that and had a life with his son. Part of the reason that was so devastating was the fact that Adian had finally accepted him, and then he died for his son. Come on, that's just so sad. That's kind of it, because I don't read a lot of books where people die, because I read to be happy, not sad. So yeah, and I'm sure that I'm forgetting some, but if I'm forgetting them, they couldn't have been that devastating. That's really all I have for you guys today, so be sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel for more videos, and be sure to follow my Instagram, which is in the description, and I hope y'all have a wonderful day. Bye guys!